Ghetto people are just dirty, man. You know, that's one thing I do not miss living in the hood, man. It's just trash everywhere, all over the ground. It's really depressing. It's really disgusting. It creates a rodent problem. You know, it creates, that's why you have people that have roaches and mice and rats and stuff like that, because everywhere outside of these apartments, you know, even some people's homes, people walking by, they just throw potato chip bags on the floor, drink cup bags. You see tons of Dunkin' Donuts cups, everything, man. It's just disgusting, and that's one thing I have not and do not see living in the suburbs, man. I don't see any trash, any garbage on the ground, man. It's so strict out here in the suburbs that if my neighbor across the street, he had a van that was just sitting, no license plate on it, not running, not working. And I've been living here for about 6.5 years, and that van has been sitting there since I've been moving here. Who knows how long prior to me living here. But I kept noticing that a random a random car would kept coming to their house and putting like an orange notice on their door. I wasn't sure what that was, man. I didn't want to jump to conclusions and say, oh, maybe they were getting evicted. I didn't know what it was. But come to find out, you know, he eventually moved that van. I put two and two together. I was like, that's why they kept putting that notice. And that was a fine. They were literally fining my neighbor across the street because he had a van sitting in his driveway with no license plate, not being driven or anything like that. And that just goes to show you how strict they are in the suburbs. I mean, a vehicle in your driveway. It's on your property. It's in your driveway, and the fact that it has no license plate and wasn't being driven, they fined you and told you you had to get rid of it or get it registered. That's just one example of how strict it is in the suburbs. Where in the hood, never. Where I grew up, never, never. There are plenty of abandoned cars just chilling in people's driveways. I mean, they don't care. But you know, I actually love that, man. I actually love that a lot, you know, because it was an eyesore for me. And not for nothing, my neighbor across the street, his whole house is an eyesore, but we're not talking about his house. You know, just the fact that they made him remove his non-working vehicle was amazing. And another thing, man, in the hood is just the loud music, the loud house parties, man. I remember it being the weekends, living in apartment buildings, and just outside around, you hear loud music till like 1, 2, 3 in the morning, you know. And because it was the summertime, it would be during the week. It wouldn't be just on the weekends, and it's extremely inconsiderate. And so many people do it in the hood. It's like the cops at some point they just give up. You know what I'm saying? They just don't care. You know, I know you see movies and stuff like that. You maybe seen body cams where people cops have shown up to people's houses for noise complaints. But it happens so much in the hood, and there's so many people throwing cookouts and late night parties that, you know, the cops just kind of just let it happen, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's been plenty of nights, you know, where I couldn't get any sleep. I had to get up for work the next morning, and you know, saying I was just miserable, all through my shift because I got no sleep because of the loud music. Again, in the apartment building I was living in, and just the surrounding apartment buildings and homes around me, man. So that's another thing that I do not miss living in the hood. You know, another thing I don't miss about living in the hood is the people, man. The people, man. The people are extremely rude, disrespectful, and just ghetto. You know, out here in the suburbs, man, nobody bothers you. Nobody bothers you, man. Everybody stays to themselves. If you see somebody walking their dog or walking through the neighborhood, they smile at you, they wave. You know, not dealing with the racism and people egging my house or leaving disrespectful notes or anything like that. You know, and the reason why I bring that up is because I've had homies that I grew up with, and I've had coworkers that still lived in the hood when I was living here, and they would say they couldn't live in the suburbs because it's too quiet and it's too many white people and shit like that, which makes no sense. You know, why would you not want to live somewhere because it's too quiet? You know, and a couple of these dudes were older than me. You know, I'm at the age, I'll be 35 this year, and that's all I yearn for. All I yearn for is peace and tranquility. Peace and relaxation. Calmness. That's all I look for. Like growing up in the hood, living in the hood, running the streets. Even like I said, when my mom moved me kind of to the suburbs, which was outskirts of the hood, I still will go back to the hood because it was more fun. It was more exciting. The suburbs were boring for me, but I was young, dumb, full of cum, and immature. So I enjoyed the chaos. I like seeing fights. I was looking for the thoughts that were easy, the women that were easy and stuff like that. I was going to the hood to purchase the nickel bags of weed and stuff like that. You know, I didn't have many corner stores in the suburbs, so I liked being in the hood because there were a corner store where I could get my 25-cent juice, I could get my candy and my beef patty all in one shop, you know. But that again, that's immature stuff. You know, when you start to get older, you get up in the age, you get up in your 30s, you know, that stuff shouldn't matter to you anymore. And if it does, it just shows that you haven't grown up yet, man. Wanting to be around loud music, wanting to be around other hood dudes, like, you know, just saying like, oh, there's not enough black people out here, I can't relate. Like that's stupid. That's stupid to me. And not for nothing, there are a few black people that live around here, mainly Jamaicans. There's a couple Jamaicans and maybe like one black family, but they all stay to themselves. They're not loud. I don't hear loud music playing and stuff like that. There's not police. There's not police cars showing up to their house every weekend and stuff like that. And, you know, that's another point I could bring up, man. You're not seeing too many cops up here at people's houses, man, for whatever issues, whether that's domestic violence, you know, whether that's a possible break-in, again, for the loud music. There are not cops showing up to people's houses around here for that type of stuff, man. They're just not, you know. So that's one thing that I'm very happy about and is very fortunate, man, you know. So again, man, any black person that's from the hood that's putting down the suburbs and living in the suburbs, man, they just haven't grown up yet, or you know they can't afford to live in the suburbs, you know. But those are maybe the two reasons. Either they haven't grown up yet or they just can't afford to move in the suburbs. Because other than that, as you get up in the age, there's no reason to want to keep living like that, man. People are literally living like animals in the ghetto. They really live like animals. And they have no care in the world, no respect for other people. And you do have a few good apples amongst the bag of bad apples in the hood, but you know those people, unfortunately, man, a lot of those people can't get up out of their situation, man. And I pray that they do. I really pray that they do, because there are people that are stuck in the hood that just can't afford to leave, that really don't like it, you know, that don't go outside for much unless they have to, you know. And I feel for those people, you know. I really do, man. I really do, because you know, the way this world is right now, this economy in this country, man, it's hard. You know, it's hard. A lot of people are on Section 8 and they really just can't afford to get off Section 8. We're not talking about the people that's abusing the system that's on it and enjoy being on it, enjoy the food stamps and are comfortable and don't want better for themselves. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about those people that, you know, that really want better but just can't financially get up out their situation. You know, they can't find a better job. They're stuck at a set pay. You know, I feel for those people, man. But, you know, any of those people that are black and that live in the hood and that are still promoting hood culture and that are talking shit about the suburbs, man, y'all need to grow up. For real, for real. Y'all need to grow up and y'all need to be hit with a dose of reality. Real talk. Real talk, man. And another thing about me coming to the suburbs, man, leaving the hood, I lost a lot of friends, man. I wouldn't even consider them friends. I'm gonna just say I lost a lot of associates, people I used to hang out with, I don't hang out with anymore. And I don't want those people showing up to my house, man. I don't want those type of people in this neighborhood. This is a very quiet neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? And when I first moved here, I did have one dude that lived in the hood. He did come up here and he was just loud. You know, he was loud, he was cussing a lot. My neighbor across the street was out with his kid, and it's just like, you know, he was smoking weed outside. Don't get me wrong, weed is legal. I smoke, but I don't really smoke outside. I smoke in my house because I can. You know, it's my own home. I can do what I want. You know, he came up in his drop top rental car. He was just being loud and obnoxious. It was kind of like he brought the hood. He was bringing the hood to the suburbs. You know, and he even tried to litter. Yeah, yeah. He even tried to. He was eating a bag of chips. He even tried to throw a bag of chips on the ground. He's like, "Oh shit, my bad." You know, and picked it up because I gave him a look. Like, bro, this is not the hood. I got a trash can right there. I have a trash can in my house, bro. This is not the hood. But the thing is, dudes are so stuck in that hood mentality. They're so used to doing it that it just becomes normal to them. It's a normal habit to just litter on the ground, you know, and not care. Gunshots, not hearing any gunshots, man. No shootings or anything like that. Not tons of cars riding up and down my street and stuff like that, flying, speeding up and down my street. You know, that's another thing. You know, because I still got my weed plug. My weed plug is still in the hood. So, you know what I'm saying? I still support my local weed dealer, man, my hood weed dealers. And, you know, he lives in the hood. And there's always cars flying up and down the street, man. There's always cars blasting music, you know, riding through the street all times of night. You know, he doesn't even like living out there. And again, to the garbage thing, man, in his backyard, there's just a pile of garbage just sitting in his backyard. You know, it's crazy. You know, there's like Pampers, there's food, there's empty boxes, and it's just all just piled up in the corner of his backyard, man. And it just makes no sense to me because you see the trash cans, and the trash cans aren't full. You know, but people are so disgusting, so nasty that they literally throw stuff out their windows. They throw garbage out their windows, you know, onto the ground outside, man. But yeah, I just want to come up here and make this video for those people that are trying to down the suburbs and they're living in the hood and they try to make it seem like the suburbs are so bad and being black from the hood and living around white people is so bad and that white people are gonna bother you or this and that's gonna happen. And let me just say, man, I don't live in the South, man. I do live in the East Coast. I'm up north. So I don't know if that makes a difference, but you know, I just want to say that as well. But I'm sure, man, I'm sure no matter where you live in the suburbs, even if it's in the South in the suburbs, man, as long as you stay to yourself, nobody's gonna bother you. You know, nobody's gonna bother you, man. So y'all comment down below and let me know y'all experiences. If you're a black person and you move from the hood to the suburbs or you're thinking about moving to the suburbs, man, whatever you want to comment, whatever you feel, just comment it down below. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, man. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace and love.